So I wanted to talk about Raila Odinga, and I wanted to remind you of where we have come from and how this ethnic sentiment has permeated. Because last year we were on an intellectual high. Last year we were talking about debt and taxes and the finance bill and the itemized whatever spending items, priority items. We were there. How did we move from that to talking about tribalism? The person who has engineered all of that is Rigathi Gachagua. Has he been insinuated in the movement by mistake? Is it by coincidence? There are never coincidences in this world, as we've come to understand. Because I've given you I'll give you a scenario. Raila Odinga has spent the last 2 years throwing shade at William Ruto, even launching his own protests, doing everything against Ruto. I interviewed him in 2023 in September, and the interview is still up on my social media platforms. And the things he said about Ruto are not what he's saying today. So what do you genuinely believe that it's just money that got him to the table? No, there had to be an ideology. There had to be a framework that they have printed inside his head to convince him, to bring him to the table so that he can suspend his own presidential ambitions. And this ideological rooting has to be so strong that it will make him suspend his own dreams so that he can go and join Ruto, so that he can save Ruto. You understand? Because that is all what this is. He was asked to go and save Ruto. What was he saving Ruto from? Is Ruto under threat? Is Ruto burning that he needs to be saved? Is Ruto in hospital? No. He was being saved from an onslaught, an illusional onslaught. And what would encourage, what would incentivize Raila Odinga to sit at that table? It is one and only thing: Raila's hate for Kikuyus. Raila hates Kikuyus with a passion. If Raila was asked today, he would ask that all Kikuyus be killed. That is the only thing. That is the only glue that binds Raila and all the opposition politicians who have since joined the government. Because they are joining because Ruto successfully convinced them that the Maandamano was a Mount Kenya initiative. How did he do it? He got Rigathi Gachagua. If you remember, first of all, before even Rigathi Gachagua, they had arrested Justin Muturi's son. And they were perpetuating the falsehoods that Justin Muturi's son was somehow connected to the June protest and was, I don't know what, he was acting on behalf of the father. So they needed to foist a Mount Kenya person who will be connected to the protest. Again, I tell you, me when we were arrested, and everyone who has been arrested by this year, the first question they've been asking us is connection to certain people. And whose name is constantly recurring? It is Rigathi Gachagua, because they have arrested everyone else except Gachagua. They have not arrested even his children, even his wife, even his close allies, even his Ngonjiri Wambogo, the people who actually work with him. But they have arrested everyone else and tried to pin us to this ugly, pathetic motherfucker called Rigathi Gachagua. I hate him. There's nothing Gachagua has ever spoken that has inspired me. There's nothing he has ever said that has made me proud, made me feel like I want to repost it, because he's an asshole. He's a moron of epic proportions. You understand? So, any time I found those bastards from DCI, Abdi Rahman, and all those Mohammed, that guy, that Michael Sang, they were just trying to figure out, and even when they took my gadgets, they were trying to figure out whether there is any connection between me and Gachagua, because they needed to connect the protests to Gachagua. And what did Gachagua do at the time? You remember in July, he hosted a very tense press conference, talking about things that he could have written as a memo to his boss, the president. He could have said whatever he was saying, all the damn shit that he was saying about Nurdin Haji, he could have done it as a memo. He could have done it as a letter. He could have done it as anything. But he chose to do a press conference because this was deliberate. This was premeditated. This was scripted. This was choreographed to connect him to June, to connect him to the protest, so that there will be enough reason to get Raila to the table. Now, when Raila was gotten to the table, if you remember the anti-Kikuyu sentiment and rhetoric, it escalated amongst his key bloggers, Robert Alai, Gabriel Oguda, December, Collins Bay and GDP Kaluma. It escalated. That's when they started going on harm on anti-Kikuyu sentiment, and all of these evidence is there. It's even been translated and repackaged as articles or news items. You understand? So they needed to convince Raila Odinga and his supporters that these protests are Kikuyu, and by saving Ruto, we are also defending ourselves and actualizing our dream of emasculating and destroying members of the Kikuyu community. That was the only thing that could have been strong enough to make Raila Odinga suspend his own dreams. Remember, the Gen Z had already told him, you stay at home. Stay at home. We are going to finish this. And once we finish, we are going to give you the presidency. Now, for him to sacrifice his own presidential ambitions and to come and save a bona fide war criminal like William Ruto, there had to be a grounding ideology, a grounding belief system that would shock him into suspending rational and common sense, rationality and common sense. And what was that? He was just told Kikuyu. Once Raila hears the name Kikuyu, he goes bonkers. I don't know what Kikuyus did to him. I don't know what Mount Kenya did to him. And you, to understand the hate that Raila harbors for the Kikuyu community, you just need to hear Gaucho speaking. What Gaucho is saying, that is Raila speaking off the cuff. That is what he cannot say as himself. So he has to foist this character, this clown, where there is plausible deniability, and he can say, oh, that is just an... But this guy has been with him in helicopters. He cannot deny him. He cannot... They've been together. They speak together. That guy has been given a role in ODM. So the grounding that incentivized Raila to come to the table to protect William Ruto was their anti-Kikuyu sentiment. So the missing piece in that whole conundrum was they needed somebody to validate this idea, to perpetuate this idea that indeed the Gen Z are connected to Mount Kenya. And who else other than Rigathi Gachagua, who has the biggest mouth, who has started going on a campaign mode? Remember, ideally, me, I don't believe William Ruto can stay in office for more than 2 months. But worst case scenario, he stays until 2027. Rigathi Gachagua has embarked and mounted a campaign that nobody can afford to start 2 years. I take you back to Donald Trump. Donald Trump started his campaigns in August last year. Before that, he had never done a public rally anywhere, because campaigns are tedious and expensive. So who is this who has started his 2027 campaigns today? It's only somebody who is being funded by the government. And who is that? Is Rigathi Gachagua. So it means that everything that you're seeing, it is scripted so as to validate the myths and the rumors that the Gen Zs are connected to Rigathi Gachagua and to Mount Kenya, so as to incentivize and coalesce opposition politicians around Raila Odinga so that they will not impeach him, they will not put a vote around William Ruto, that is, they will not impeach him, they will not put front a vote of no confidence against him. So his connection, or Rigathi Gachagua's removal, impeachment, don't forget, it's all a charade. Don't forget, even when Ruto and Uhuru fell out, it was all a charade, scripted. It was scripted so as to create a semblance of opposition. But there's never been an opposition in Kenya. Since 2013, we've never had an opposition. Kenya is firmly now a one-party state. It has always been a one-party state. You understand? So once you understand that everything is a script, everything is planned, everything is choreographed, you're going to better appreciate how we have found ourselves in this conundrum, how we have moved from discussing about tax and finance and everything and debt, and now we are discussing about tribal arithmetic. Because we have embraced this loudmouth, this idiot, this stupid bastard, this ugly motherfucker called Rigathi Gachagua. We have embraced him and tried to impose him as associated with the Gen Z. And now we have a bunch of stupid influencers who I call out every day. And you guys are always giving me grief. Oh, I'm causing disunity. How do you unite with people who are fighting with the enemy, who are fighting against us? That's what happened in 2002. And I told you, stupidity is repeating the same thing, expecting different results. So in 2002, these guys embraced Akina Saitoti, Akina Kamodho, Akina Raila, people who had just decamped 2 weeks before from KANU, and now they embrace them, and these guys rebranded and they call themselves change. No, The opposition didn't need to do it. They had the moral authority. They had the financial and Kenyan goodwill. They would have won this thing by their own. But they still embraced this psychotic motherfucker called Raila Odinga, who had just decamped from that side. So, again, now, when you're telling me to suspend, when you're telling me now, now work with Aoko, you can clearly see that she's working for NIS. You can clearly see she has never used any of our flagship hashtags and call to action. She's never used Ruto must go or Occupy State House or Occupy Parliament. She has never used any. She faked her own abduction. She claimed that she has... and you want me, for the sake of unity? No, you have to be ruthlessly committed to the cause where we started from. And that's why every time you're being distracted. Even Dindi Nyoro can build 2 ablution blocks, and he can come and you're making him trend and saying, oh, he's now a progressive person. Oh, he can be president. He can be president because of building 2 ablution blocks. The guy last year was saying that 50 million will be reduced from the CDF if you don't pass the finance bill. He was threatening the members of parliament. How then does he reinvent himself? Does he rebrand himself from an oppressor to now that he's a presidential candidate? And you want us, in the interest of unity, to now and see that you want us to shelve all those happenings and now embrace him. No, we don't do that. If anyone is an enemy and has picked a side, then they should stay there. I respect those who genuinely come and say, I am promoting Ruto, because then I know how to deal with you. But when you are pretending, when you are camouflage, when you are the chameleon, then I don't know how to handle you. So me, because I have been given the gift of discernment, I will forever call them out, whether you like it or not, whether you endorse of it or not. And so regarding Gachagua has come, because of him, he has heightened. He became like the mouthpiece of Murima. We don't know who sent him to discuss about Murima. We don't know who told him to discuss about Murima. But he goes there talking about Murima every time. And he's really profiling us. He's really balkanized us. And now it has given the rise of these charlatans like Gaucho to spew anti-Kikuyu rhetoric, although they are not making any traction, because Kenyans, I told you, from June 25th, everything changed. We are a new country. We are in a new era. You cannot use that. But the fact that now Rigathi pushes the Murima sentiment, it gives rise to all these other charlatans who are now riding on that. Because all Rigathi needed to do last year was shut the fuck up. He would have just kept quiet. Why was he hosting press conferences? Because it's all smoke and mirrors. This is all a script. This is all... The architecture of your oppression begins like this. It begins with your consent. It begins with your distraction. That you stay in the news. You watch it. There you watch Rigathi Gachagua not saying anything meaningful. Even when he was pretending to be a whistleblower and telling us who is in charge of or who is abducting Kenyans, he only gave us a sketchy name, Abel. He only, Abel. Because he doesn't want to burn his bridges. He's not really for us. He's just there to gaslight you, to throw you a bone here and there. He's never going hard. He could be angry, like when he was in Meru, he was pretending he was very angry. You are angry at who? You've been there eating money. You've stolen money. You were silent as your wife was allocated 594 million. An unconstitutional office was allocated Kenya shillings 594 million. And you are saying now you have reformed. Now you are the people's... You which people? The people who are entertaining you are just misguided people who have been paid. And I'm telling you, the money that is being used to mobilize crowds for your rallies, they have been sponsored. I have noticed even myself when I speak about Rigathi Gachagua, especially on TikTok. TikTok is now under full government control. You know, the company which has been killing their staff is called Teleperformance of TikTok. Anytime I talk about Rigathi, my video is muted on TikTok, which shows you that all of these, they need Rigathi to operate seamlessly, undisturbed, unhinged. And anyone who is trying to educate people about his role, about the fact that he's been embedded in the movement to distract it by hyper-escalating the tribal sentiment and distracting people from conversations that matter, which include taxes, which include the 1.3 trillion that William Ruto has stolen between June and February. To distract that, we need a clown like Rigathi Gachagua. And the more you're giving him airtime, the more you're making him continue on this journey. He has never spoken about tax. He has never spoken about debt. Those are the conversations that we as intellectuals and young people and millennials and Gen Zs want to hear. We don't want to hear tribal arithmetic that go and tell boomers, and boomers are shrinking, boomers are extinct, boomers are stupid people who have gotten us here. They made us vote for a new constitution, these fucking boomers, this generation of old, useless, retarded bastards. They made us vote for a new constitution. And then now they have taken us back in one fell swoop. Now we are no longer a democracy. Now we are a glamorized democracy. We are de jure a dictatorship. We are one party state. Don't have any form of opposition. Every leader you're talking to, you listen to them, from Mother Karua to Kalonzo Musyoka. None of them is saying something sensible. None of them is saying something meaningful. None of them is doing a call for action, which shows you that all of them are one and the same thing. As what we want once we get rid of Ruto, we have structural and institutional overhaul. We want to have a caretaker government with representatives from all sectors, so that you come there, we input everything, we form new policies, a new constitution, we harmonize a new one, and we'll do it faster because now we are crowdsourcing. Now we are doing, you send a draft, we are reading, everyone, if you are interested in women's affairs, in maritime issues, in coffee, in sports, everything will be there, fine-tuned, so that we have no problem, so that the next president will not find it easy to just come and undo the economic gains. And we will insulate our politics from our economy so that they can fight there, and we can be like European economies, European countries. They can fight and do whatever shenanigans that they want. But our business, we will not be like now. We are expending unnecessary man hours to discuss politics, while this should be the productive years of our lives. This is our parents in our age. They had mortgages, they had what, they are doing everything. But that's what are we doing? We are doing politics because our parents were afraid of fighting for us. They were dumbed down. They were listening to their media, religious leaders, everything. They had embraced all the attributes of oppression. But now we are not. We are fighting for mostly our children. So you have to ensure that when you're looking at an idiot like Gachagua, he's not your friend. He has never been your friend. If you go and Google, you'll see he's purporting to represent Mount Kenya, and he's the one who destroyed the coffee and tea sector. Just Google for yourself. He's the one who destroyed them. And now he's masquerading as a kingpin. He's not anybody's kingpin. He can't be even a kingpin in his own Karatina village. So fuck Gachagua. Fuck anyone who is taking the bait. People, TikTokers, all of you. I don't want to mention your name because some of you are just disgusting motherfuckers. Screw all of you. To the rest of Kenyans, don't be baited. Stay focused. We will forever remain tribeless, leaderless, partyless. That is our grounding. That is our rooting. That is how we are moving. That is forever. That is our identity, and we are going to maintain it as such. Thank you very much. Good night.